Can you believe this timing? The Gang of Eight gangs up on our country to pass an immigration reform bill just as immigrants, legal immigrants to our country, just carried out a terrorist attack on U.S. soil. Well, joining me right now is Senator Rand Paul, who has some very interesting views we're going to discuss on the topic of immigration reform. Senator Paul, welcome to the program. Also, congratulations to you. I see that you are now one of the top 100 most influential people, according to Time magazine. So I want to get into the immigration reform bill, but before that, you have been one of the driving forces behind finding out what really happened in Benghazi, Libya, the terrorist attacks there. Now, I've been reporting for over a year now, since really 2 weeks after the attacks, that the United States has been behind arming the rebels, the jihadist rebels, first in Libya and then in Syria. Well, now no less than the New York Times has confirmed what I've been reporting for over a year, Senator Paul, which is that indeed the United States has a policy, and we have had for quite some time, of arming the rebels, of coordinating arms shipments. They're saying that the arms are being paid by Turkey, by Saudi, by the Arabs, by Qatar, but that we're coordinating them. We're shipping them to the rebels. Obviously, the major problem is, as everybody knows, the rebels are Al-Qaeda. The rebels include jihadists. And so what is your response? Do you have a problem with this policy of arming right now the Syrian rebels?
Well, yeah, first of all, with regard to Benghazi, I think it's important because it may have something to do with why the compound was attacked. If we were involved with shipping guns to Turkey, there was a report that a ship left from Libya towards Turkey and that there were arms on it in the week preceding this. There were reports that our ambassador was meeting with the Turkish attaché. So I think with regards to figuring out what happened at Benghazi, it's very important to know whether or not the CIA annex had anything to do with facilitating guns being sent to Turkey and ultimately to Syria. With regard to arming the rebels, just this week in the Armed Services Committee, General Dempsey, the Joint Chief of Staff, said that he didn't think we were, he said we were no longer able to distinguish who the good guys were from the bad guys. And that sounds pretty worrisome if we're actually arming people who in the end may be enemies of America, enemies of Israel, enemy of the surrounding neighbors, enemies maybe of the Christians who live within Syria. So, you know, I keep asking the question, there's 1 million Christians in Syria, which side are they fighting for, and are they real excited about us potentially sending arms to a rebel force that may include al-Nusra and other radical jihadists?
Now, this ties all the way back, and we're speaking with Senator Rand Paul, to the Benghazi testimony, where you actually asked Senator Hillary Clinton. I watched the video of you asking Clinton whether she knew about any arms shipments to any countries out of Libya. Now, the New York Times not only reports that back when we were in Benghazi, that we, the United States, were arming the Syrian rebels, but they also report that it was the plan, that the individual who drew up this plan was Hillary Clinton herself, along with then CIA Director David Petraeus. Now, it's very difficult to believe, even without the New York Times, that such a policy that would have such direct ramifications for the world, for the Middle East, of arming rebels, was not known to senior Obama administration officials. Do you think that maybe Hillary, I don't want to make any strong accusations here, but do you think she wasn't telling the truth when she told you she didn't know anything, she would have to look into it, about the arming of sending weapons from Benghazi?
I was surprised that she acted as if she had never even heard of the whole concept of arms coming out of Libya through Turkey. You're right, since it had been reported in several mainstream media sources that this has been going on. So I was quite surprised that she acted as if she had never heard of any of this, because some of the reports have said she's been arguing for this. The other thing that I think a lot of public officials and government officials do is they keep this sort of veil of deniability, and the reason they think they can deny it is, well, maybe the U.S. wasn't actually buying and transferring the arms. Maybe we were facilitating it, simply coordinating with Turkish people who were doing it, and they can simply try to stand by and say, well, no, we didn't do it, the Turks did it. But in reality, a lot of this may have involved our involvement. I don't know that for a fact because nobody will admit to it, but we certainly are sending supposedly non-lethal support. But within this ship from Turkey, the reports, I believe, from the New York Times said that there was both non-lethal and lethal things commingled in the shipment.
Oh, yeah, they were very clear that it absolutely included weapons, according to their sources. They did say that it was Turkey, other Arab countries that were purchasing the weapons. Now, I also know that the CIA and other government agencies, they have to have, on some level, some of their budget approved, and so it would make it a lot easier if somebody were running an intelligence operation on this level if the money were paid for by, if the weapons were paid for by another country. Now, back to domestically, where we now have the Gang of Eight, the amnesty bill that has come out. I know that you have taken some heat from some on the conservative side with regard to statements you made on amnesty, but the fact of the matter is, and you pointed this out and Politico reported on it, that right now we have de facto amnesty in America with the prosecutorial discretion and all sorts of other interagency directives to the Department of Homeland Security. So what are your thoughts on the immigration bill that was released, on the generalities of it?
You know, I think most conservatives, myself included, feel like in 1986 when we did this, we got kind of tricked in the sense that they said, oh, you'll get border security, and it never came. So conservatives are skeptical of immigration reform, but I think there's also a need to fix the system, because the reason we have so much illegal immigration is because the legal immigration system is broken. So if you don't fix the legal immigration, you'll continue to get illegal immigration. The other thing about it is, though, is that in order for conservatives to believe that this immigration should go forward, we need to be convinced that the border will be secured first. So I have an amendment that I will add to this bill called Trust But Verify. And my amendment insists that the border is secure first, that any immigration reform occur in a stepwise fashion as we determine that the border is more secure, and that Congress votes on whether or not the border is secure each year, and that progressing with immigration reform is contingent upon Congress agreeing that the border is becoming increasingly secure.
All right, Senator Rand Paul, now of Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People in the World, thank you for being here on Aaron Klein Investigative Radio on WABC.
Thanks a lot, Aaron.